Hello everyone, welcome back. So today for you, we are going to talk about August new releases. So I get so excited and new titles coming out. I have a huge backlist. I do try to read backlist books, but there's something about the new and shiny book that's coming out. I think I have like 13 books, I believe, to talk to you about today to share with you. Now, of course, there's way more released in August, way more titles than that, but these are just the ones I personally added to my Goodreads I want to check out, that I'm interested in. So, of course, leave down below in the comments if I miss any that you're excited about, that weren't on my radar. I would love to hear about those too. So, to get started, August 6th, which is actually today that I'm recording this. This video will be up tomorrow on Wednesday, but today we have 5 titles I'm excited about. The first one is The Chamber by Will Dean. I'm curious about this one because I loved one of his books and I did not love one of his books. So this one might be the make or break. Is this the author for me? And in The Chamber, it's a mystery thriller. It says it's tense with paranoia and suspicion, but the main premise of this story is we have experienced divers that are locked in a hyperbaric chamber, if I'm saying that right, and they have 4 days of decompression before the hatch can be opened, and someone in their group is found dead. So we have a locked room mystery here. His books do tend to be really thrilling, so I'm excited for that one. That one sounds good. I actually have it on NetGalley, so I can read it on my Kindle. I'll probably do that. I don't know that I'm going to run out and purchase this one based upon my track record with the last one I read by him. But yeah, so that's the first one on the 6th. The next one is by Kingfisher, A Sorceress Comes to Call. This is going to be fantasy horror. I've only read one other book by this author, which was Nettle and Bone, but I really enjoyed it. And A Sorceress Comes to Call, it's a retelling of The Goose Girl, which is a story by the Brothers Grimm. I haven't heard about it. I'm not familiar with the story of The Goose Girl, but I know it's a retelling of that. We're going to have secrets, murder, forbidden magic in this one. We're following Cordelia. Her mother is a sorceress. Cordelia is she has no friends. She lives in the middle of nowhere. She doesn't have a lot of contact with a lot of people. Her mom's a little strange. Her mom is actually a sorceress. She does have a white horse she spends a lot of time with. But she's sounds like she's living out in the middle of nowhere, not interacting with a lot of people. She's kind of seen as kind of odd. But there is a suspicious death in their small town. And so they leave on the horse in the middle of the night, and they come to a remote country manor. And there we have an older gentleman who is rich, he's a squire, and his unwed sister named Hester. So they live there. And Cordelia's mom tries to lure him into marriage. And that's all I want to know. It also has tagged The Wicked Witch of the Worst Kind. So I love books about witches, and this one I'm definitely interested in picking up. Next one on the 6th is Agony Hill by Sarah Stewart Taylor. Never heard about this author. The cover actually grabbed my attention, and I looked into that, and this one is going to be a historical fiction, a mystery historical fiction, where it takes place in 1960s rural Vermont. Franklin Warren comes from Boston. He arrives in this small country remote Vermont town, and he becomes a detective with the state police. And he is called to a case in a remote farm on Agony Hill, and there is someone dead. His name is Hugh Weber. He's dead. A barn caught on fire, and the barn was locked from the inside. So we get a lot of small town secrets in this one, and it just sounds really intriguing, and the cover drew me in, and I love checking out a new author, so that is on my radar. Let's see, 2 more for the 6th. Bear with me. Grab a snack or a drink or a beverage if you're at this point already. This video might be a little bit on the longer side. Okay, House of Glass by Sarah Pekkanen. Or is it Pekkanen? I'm not really sure. I've read her before, but I've only read her when she does a duo author with someone else. I can't think of it right now. So I've never read her as an author with a standalone book by herself. But this one sounds really intriguing. We are following the Golden family with a perfect life. There is a young nanny who plunges to her death. And so we have a 9-year-old girl who is mute, who collects sharp objects. And we have a lawyer named Stella Hudson. So Stella Hudson is appointed to serve as child counsel to this 9-year-old girl, because her parents are going through a pretty ugly divorce, it sounds like. So this lawyer comes in, she's trying to uncover the murder, who is the victim, who is the murderer, and, well, we know who the victim is. It's the nanny. It's kind of confusing. But the weirdest thing about this house is she goes to the house and everything is made out of plastic. There is not one piece of glass in the house. So that's all I got to know. It sounds super intriguing. I want to know what's going on in this weird, strange family of secrets. Okay, the last one on my radar for the 6th is Only the Guilty Survive by Kate Robards. Never read this author before either. But this one we have a strange connection between a cult's mass suicide and I think a local girl goes missing. Yes, a local beauty queen goes missing. And those events happen really close together. This was tagged as for fans of Riley Sager and Lisa Jewell. I love both of those authors. So I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. It takes place in Michigan. We have the Flock, which is the cult. The cult is camped out in an abandoned bird sanctuary, and this mass suicide takes place. And Laurel was abducted the night before the cult's mass suicide, and then no one can find her. The only survivor, there's one survivor of this mass suicide, and her name is Claire, and it is Laurel's best friend. So that's all I want to know. I think the podcast element, from my understanding, comes in like 10 years after these events occur, and it's kind of like a flashback on trying to really discover what happened in this this tragic event. So sounds really good. Sometimes podcast elements in books are great and just make the book amazing, but sometimes it's missing. So we'll see. We'll see if this can do a good thing with this podcast element, because I do tend to enjoy those when they're done well. So, all right. I catch my breath here. Okay, the 13th is the next release date. I have only 3 on that day that are on my radar. The first one I have mentioned before, and that is Worst Case Scenario by T.J. Newman. Again, we have a pilot or a plane that goes down, just like all of her books. And this one, the pilot has a heart attack, and the whole plane goes down and crashes into a nuclear power plant. Another book that takes place in Minnesota. This crash is ground zero. It's considered a catastrophic national crisis that has global implications. It's considered the first ever level 8 catastrophe. Number 7, a level 7 catastrophe, what it would be like Chernobyl or Fukushima. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is going to be a heart-stopping thriller that I will probably just soak up in 1 or 2 sittings. That one sounds great. Okay, next one is The Housekeeper's Secret. This is historical fiction, an author I've never read before. And actually, Iona Gray. Okay, the next one on the 13th is The Housekeeper's Secret by Iona Gray. I have never read her before. We have historical fiction. Takes place, we have alternating timelines between the Edwardian period to World War I. This is a romance as well. It says, duty, desire, and deception reside under one roof. It takes place in northern England Kate Furness is the main character, and she is the housekeeper of Coldwell Hall for 5 years. And in the summer of 1911, we enter Jem Arden, who harbors some secrets of his own. They have an intense and forbidden love affair. And between these alternating timelines, you kind of build upon their story, and you're finding out, what truths do we hold on to? What parts of our past do we have to let go? And it just sounds really interesting, and I love the cover as well. This one was another cover that drew me in and intrigued me to find out a little bit more about what this book was about. The next one for the 13th, the last one for the 13th, is The Breakup Pack by Emma Lord. I've heard a lot of people love Emma Lord. I personally have never read her. I would like to branch out a little bit more with my romance authors, so this is one that's kind of been low-key on my radar to try, just because I've heard good things about her writing and her stories. This one, we have two best friends who haven't talked to each other for like over 10 years. Both go through some pretty brutal, like viral breakups. It goes public, their breakup. So they decide to get together and fake date, and that's where we pick up. I like fake dating tropes, so this kind of intrigued me, and it's got an adorable cover. Love the cover. Okay, on the 20th, we have By Any Other Name by Jodi Picoult. Now, I will read anything this woman writes. She's one of my all-time favorite authors. I actually want to reread some of her books in the near future. But we have two women, centuries apart. We have two timelines. Emilia, 1581. Turns out she's the real author of all the Shakespeare's plays, but she never gets credit for it. The present day, Melina works for a theater, and she's working in this, unlevel playing field of the theater for women in general. And she's trying to decide, is she willing to forfeit her name and all her hard work to actually get her work, see it performed on stage. It's a sweeping tale of ambition, courage, and desire. So I trust Jodi to write a beautiful story and completely captivate me with it, and I'm sure I will enjoy it. This Is Why I Lied by Karin Slaughter. This is number 12 in her Will Trent series. I've only read the first 4, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just want you guys, if you are up to date on this series, you probably already know that number 12 is coming out, but just in case you didn't, Karin Slaughter writes really gritty, dark murder mysteries. She's amazing too. This one, the setting is taking place in an off-grid mountaintop property. The manager of the lodge is found dead, and then a vicious storm totally washes out the road. That's the only way out of this resort. So you have kind of a locked room, isolated situation with a murder. So Karin Slaughter's never done me wrong. I can't imagine it being bad. But again, I'm on book 4, not 12. So I have a little ways to go. The Last Witch in Edinburgh by Marielle Thompson. This is going to be historical fiction with a fantasy twist. I love books about witches. We're following a couple different women. The main woman, I don't have her name written down, but this is 1824 in Edinburgh. We're following some Scottish folklore in this one, and it's a very emotional story. We're following a lady, a witch. I don't have her name written down. I'm sorry, you guys. But she goes to work at a woman's apothecary. And so this group of women kind of start like a witch coven, and they become best friends, and you're kind of following their stories. And then there's an ancient enemy who's intent on stripping the power of all these witches. So that's all I really want to know. I love books in Scotland. I definitely want to go to Scotland one day. I think it looks like a beautiful place to go. So witches, Scotland, ancient enemy, yes to all 3. So that one sounds good to me, and I love the cover too on this one. Okay, the last 2 are the 27th. The first one is by Anna Downs, Red River Road. I do own Shadow House by her, and I have not checked her out yet, but this one takes place in the Australian outback, which I love. We have 2 sisters. I love books with sisters. one of the sisters, Phoebe, vanishes while she's in Australia. The case goes cold, and then we're picking up years later, and Katie wants to retrace Phoebe's steps to try to find out where her sister is. Her path collides with someone named Beth, who's got her own thing. She's running from her own past, and they kind of form an alliance to work together to find out what happened to Phoebe. So that's that one. And the last one I have for you today is The Madness by Dawn Kurtagich, maybe? This is gothic horror. I don't read too much horror. I probably wouldn't read this one till fall time anyways, but it does come out on August 27th, and it sounds good. We have Lucy and Mina, who are long-lost, estranged friends. One of them gets an unexpected email from the other. So Mina leaves her psychiatric practice in London and goes to Wales to kind of answer this email. And when she's in Wales, it says she's faced with everything she left behind. Not sure what that is. Lucy, she gets there, and Lucy, her friend, she sent her the email, is mirroring strange symptoms that match one of her clients back at her psychiatric practice. So as she digs into this untreatable, kind of mysterious sickness, it kind of mimics like having amnesia almost, it sounds like. She starts trying to unravel this. She realized that these two women are connected. It kind of leads into a web of lies, missing girls, and a powerful nameless force at its center. So apparently, whatever this powerful force is has been haunting Mina for years. So you're going to get this. It's going to be kind of dark. Another cover love for sure. This is actually this author's debut adult novel. I guess she wrote YA prior to this, but I never heard of her. So if you've heard of her, I would love to hear your thoughts. This book sounds amazing, and I can't wait till fall to pick it up. It's definitely on my radar. All right, so that's all I have. Thank you again for taking time to come watch my videos. I will see you in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.